Live?
We live. Go ahead, man.
Do
your intros.
Well, hello, everyone. This is Haven with my two friends. You're on the first episode of the Naughty List.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
And let me introduce
you. Kicked off of YouTube already, Haven. Damn.
Oh, we're good.
We have to get some sound drops. We're gonna have to get some like Howard Stern drops.
Yeah, I gotta get some of those.
What's going on, guys? I'm Caleb. We're gonna talk some comic book movies. I'm excited.
Yep. And what is up, everybody?
Also with us, Hunter.
Huh?
Said also with us is Hunter.
What's up, everybody? Today we're talking the top 10 comic book movies of all time in our personal opinions. So hope you guys enjoy, and let's get started.
All right, cool. So like, I've got like literally a list of like 25 movies that could be honorable mentions.
Just do like your top 5 or something like that, or the honorable mention list.
Of the honorable mentions? I mean, yeah, so just on there, I mean, like, you got to put The Crow on there. I feel like The Crow is like definitely an honorable mention for me. Like, just the soundtrack is like the sound of the 90s, and also Brandon Lee's performance was awesome.
Couldn't agree more. He had a tragic death during filming that movie, but that movie was going to catapult him to stardom. Man, he was right on the verge. And that movie, that movie still stands the test of time. You could put it in now in 2017 and still watch it, and it's still as entertaining as the day it first came out.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, man. It was modern day classic, dude. I love it. And somehow it's not dated, even though it's old.
All right, so any more honorable mentions?
Do you guys have one you want to do, or should I?
I got one. 300 is on my honorable mention list. It was it's at like number 11. Like, it just got pushed off. Just give Zack Snyder credit for using his style and having it work so well, like the graphic novel.
I mean, and like it pioneered that whole like the thing that's been overdone that annoys me, at least in movies now, that like slow motion that like you see in like every action movie now, like that being done before 300.
Yeah.
And also just like the in terms of accuracy to the book too, it was like scenes that were cut from the pages of the novel and just like put on scene and brought to life. It was incredible achievement.
Yeah. So Haven, what's yours now?
All right, for my honorable mentions, I have a couple that didn't make my list. I put I have Aliens versus Predator because the first time we see them two fight. So I thought that was pretty cool.
I mean, I'd argue that that's more based off of the video game than it was the comic books.
Well, the comic books were out since the 80s, so and after Predator 2, everybody was waiting for that to happen, and it took years. And it wasn't.
Yeah, it took.
I mean, the movie is outdated, but it was cool seeing him fight for the first time. So I have that movie. I do have Road to Perdition with Tom Hanks. A lot of people probably not aware that that's based on a comic book movie, but it was. I thought that was really amazing. Kick-Ass was another one that missed my list, but I really enjoyed Kick-Ass. It doesn't get enough credit.
Oh. Yeah, for sure.
I
got another one that doesn't really that doesn't get a whole lot of acknowledgement, but like From Hell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite graphic novel, and like it was a movie. Despite I mean, it didn't follow exactly the story of the books and everything, but it was a fun movie. Ian Holm and Johnny Depp, are like brilliant, and it's about Jack the Ripper. It's crazy. It's good stuff. You should check it out.
A few more I had on my list was I had The Dark Knight Rises. I think it wasn't as good as his predecessors, but as a good
that's for sure.
It was a good ending to a great trilogy of movies.
Sure.
Hence why it's honorable mention, but
right. All right.
I had Kingsman on there. Kingsman: The Secret Service.
I almost put Kingsman in my top 10. That was just like a gem of a movie.
Yeah.
It was a surprisingly good hit.
So let's get
my last
our
mention. The last one that I forgot to put on my list that just came to me when you guys were talking with 30 Days of Night.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh dang, I
was
forgot about that one.
I've actually read the graphic novel, and it was just as dark as the movie and the tone of the illustrator, the colors that he used and the palettes. But it slipped my mind, didn't make my list.
All right, so let's get into our actual top 10. So Caleb, you want to start?
Okay. Yeah, all right. So bear with me here because this is my personal top 10. So, I mean, I know this movie isn't the best movie, but my number 10 is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze.
Woo!
Okay.
This movie has like it's ingrained in my heart. The freaking ninja rap is my favorite thing that's ever happened. Toka and Reza are my spirit animals. Like, it's terrible and ridiculous, and it's great, and I love it. So that's my number 10.
All right, so I'll do mine next. Number 10, I have the original Kick-Ass. This movie, when it came out, blew me away because it was something different that at that time I hadn't seen in a comic book or superhero movie. I mean, it was just so violent and so, so mature, but the story was great. It was about this, nerdy kid who ends up following his dreams and fights crime. It was fun. It was entertaining. I had fun with it. So that's my number 10.
Yeah, like I'm a big fan of Kick-Ass. It was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, it was ruined by the second one.
Yeah.
But that first one was pretty awesome. I had a
2 words.
Really good time with it.
2 words. Nick Cage.
Yeah. Hey,
Big Daddy.
Big Daddy was awesome. He was like the Batman we all wanted until Ben Affleck did it.
Yep. All right, Haven.
And then Matthew Vaughn directing too. Like that's the movie that launched him into the stratosphere that now he's like the biggest name ever from Planet of the Apes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so Haven.
Okay, from number 10, I have from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I have Thor, the first Thor movie. I really enjoyed that movie. I never, before the Thor movie, we had a couple Supermans from the 70s, but I always liked Thor, the mythology of it, and I like how the movie was short. It took place in about 3 days. It showed Asgard for the first time. We were introduced to Loki. We seen Jane Foster. Thor came to Earth, had the comedy sprinkled in. For the budget that it had, I think it was like 120 million. I thought that the movie was done well to introduce Thor, that a lot of people were like sure that they could actually make a Thor movie. And I enjoy that movie a lot. It just doesn't get enough praise in the Marvel universe. But that's my top 10. Coming in at 10 is Thor.
Okay. See, I think the problem with Thor was that they took it a little too slow. They made it like a little too grounded. Because like if they had expanded on it like they did in the Dark World, but like with the storyline of the first one, I feel like it would have been truly great.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like the only real sin that they did was that it was kind of boring. Like there wasn't a ton of like actiony things going on in a movie that's about the god of war.
Oh, he's not. He's not the god of war. That's Ares.
Well,
but
I mean, Thor is the Norse god of war.
No, he's the Norse god of lightning.
Yep,
And
the
war.
god of thunder.
All right, Caleb.
Anyways. Oh, yes, number 9 then. All right, number 9 is just like my favorite I know of R-rated Marvel movie, at least from off the top of my head, and it's just like end to end, it's just like the Punisher comics, Punisher Warzone.
Oh.
I loved that movie. I thought that Ray Stevenson, like a perfect old man, like he's a weathered badass, you know. He moves with like, he's not doing fancy flips and like Dolph Lundgren style action. He's like, no, he's like doing Krav Maga and like barely moving and killing 100 people in a building, or just like punching a hole in a dude's head. I love it. And then Jigsaw as a bad guy is like, it's like they took him out of the comics. So yeah, that's mine. I love Punisher Warzone. Like him blowing up the parkour guys with a rocket launcher. Best things ever. So yeah, it's a bloodfest, low budget, awesome Punisher Warzone.
Nice. I've never seen it, but
oh, you gotta see it. It's so good.
I may check it out.
It's pretty much the best Punisher movie that they made.
Yeah, 100%. I'd see
I'll
it
do
being
mine.
like a.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I just like I mean it's right like as good as season 2 Punisher. I can't remember his name right now. But like they're like really being older that guy, and like it would work in the storyline.
Yeah.
That's similar, like down gritty, like that's just like he's a killer.
All right.
Number 9.
Hunter.
What did you think of it?
My number 9, I've got something that I believe was on one of your guys' honorable mention list, The Crow.
Yeah, that was my honorable mention.
I love this movie, from the dark world that they set up to just the overall story, the writing, the acting, everything was just like, I saw it when I was real young, and I can still watch it today and still love it even more as I get older. It's just so badass, just so much fun. And yeah, number 9 is The Crow.
All right, I think we lost Caleb.
Yo, Caleb.
Guess we're having technical difficulties with him. All right, so once we get him back, but I'm gonna go on with my number 9, and that will be a movie called Dredd. Dredd is my number 9 movie, and that movie stars Carl Urban, and of course our famous evil queen we all love to hate, Cersei, as the main villain, as Mama.
Yes, indeed.
I love that movie because the first Judge Dredd, it gets a lot of shit. You know, the Arnold Schwarzenegger one. I mean, excuse me, the Sylvester Stallone one. Sylvester Stallone. And you know, for his time, I thought it was okay. I tried to rewatch it a couple months back, and I was like, it was okay for the time, but you know, it wasn't. But this
with
Judge
Rob
Dredd,
Schneider.
but this Dredd movie with Carl Urban was so grounded, and I love the world that they built for it. I love how it took place in one setting. The only problem that movie faced was that it came out the same year as The Raid came out. So a lot of people thought it copied The Raid. But I really enjoyed that Dredd movie, and I wish they would do more to expand that universe because they gave us a taste of how badass he is and how he could use his gun with the different voice commands. And I just love just the action and just the murdering that he went through, just relentless, just fucking killing people. It was amazing. So that is my number 9, gentlemen. Dredd.
Absolutely, yeah, dude. Like I've actually got that as my number 7.
Oh, why didn't you tell me to hold then? We could have talked about it.
Yeah, like.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say like Dredd's a very good choice because it's not nothing too deep, but when you watch the movie, it's just it's like Country Warzone to Caleb. It's real blood, gore, just having so much fun watching people get slaughtered.
and it builds it builds the world of the comics that those of us that have read those books, like, no, there's mutants and there's, you know, super cities and all these like awesome things that are in the books that you never got to see. You just, like, you know, before it was just, you know, Stallone going, I am the law. Like
the law.
Like the only thing you didn't get to see was him like hovering on one of those jetpacks. Like he was like
yeah.
But he was like comic perfect. He never removed his helmet. Down to almost every detail, I thought that movie was a fantastic adaptation of the comics.
Yes, sir. All right, Caleb, what's your number 8?
My number 8 is similar in that, like, it's not the greatest movie. A lot of people give it a lot of shit.
What, Howard the Duck?
No, but it's one of the most accurate portrayals of... Oh, no, Howard the Duck was not accurate at all. My number 8's Watchmen.
Whoa, we got to hold on that. We got to hold.
Cool.
I got that on my list.
All right.
Hunter, you got that on your list too, or
no? I don't. I've never actually watched it. I need to go back and watch it though. Watch The Watchmen.
Dude, I will mail you the graphic novel. Read that first and then watch it, just so you can see.
Hell yeah.
Like closely they follow the book. It's ridiculous.
All right. I mean, again, I tried to watch it late one night, but I passed out because it was like 2 a.m. in the morning. I was just sleepy. So I may have to go back and watch it again to really fully understand it. But yeah, I mean, I've been curious to watch it. I've heard mixed things about it, but when do I care about what critics think?
Right.
What's your number 8?
Mine?
Yeah.
My number 8 is the 1989 Batman movie with Michael Keaton.
Oh, we got to hold.
Hold? Okay.
Yep. Let me make an indentation that we made. We talked about both of those. All right, so now it's on me then, since we're holding that. My number 8 movie, comic book movie of all time, my personal list, I have X-Men Days of Future Past.
I actually had that as my number 8 before changing it out for Batman.
Nice.
I had to pick one X-Men movie. It was either going to be First Class. I really enjoyed First Class with the new cast. But I had to pick Days of Future Past because it introduced the new class and the old class together in one movie. And it really showed the elements of the comic books, you know, just a fun, crazy, sci-fi, mutant-infested comic book movie. And that's my pick out of the X-Men universe. I had to go with Days of Future Past.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the closest they ever got to doing the X-Men right. For sure, was Days of Future Past. Like, I mean, there's little stuff that they tweaked and changed that didn't make a ton of sense. Like, that was the closest they ever got to doing X-Men, an X-Men storyline right. So yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah, great
Think to
choice.
put it on the list.
All right,
so
Caleb,
we talked about my number 7 already. My 7 was Dread. So we'll just go straight to Hunter's number 7.
My number 7 is Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
Hold.
Hold.
All right.
All right.
So then
all right, so I guess it's my number 7 then. My number 7 is a current movie that just came out this year, and that would be Wonder Woman.
Hold. I have that on my list.
Okay.
We've all got similar lists, it seems.
All right, Caleb, what's your number 6?
My number 6 is Logan.
Hold.
Yeah, I figured.
Trust me.
So
my number 6.
How close do you have it on your list, Hunter?
Huh?
Is it close to five on your list, or is it higher?
It's higher.
Okay, we can hold then. All right.
All
right. So that brings me to my number 6, correct?
No, mine, because it's Caleb.
Oh, okay. Correct.
Right. Yeah.
All right. So my number 6 is a controversial one, and I know you guys aren't gonna have it on your list. Man of Steel.
Yeah, definitely not. No.
I have that as number 6 also.
Really?
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, I'm in the minority here. That didn't even make my top 25.
See, I love Man of Steel. Behind Wonder Woman, I think it's my second favorite DCU movie behind Wonder Woman. I just love the character that they developed. I love the action. I love the cinematography. The writing was clear. I agree with Campia. No, I'm not going to say it's a masterpiece, but it was a damn great movie. Haven, you want to talk about it a little bit?
All right. I grew up with the Christopher Reeves Superman movies.
Same here.
I enjoyed them for what they were, but those movies are so outdated in 2017. Superman Returns was an abomination. So I've been waiting for a Superman movie that I could really say, okay, that's my Superman. I love Man of Steel. I love it as a movie, as a film, not as a superhero movie, as a film. All the flashbacks of him as a child, I think those could have been nominated for an Oscar. The way his mom, Diane Lane and Kevin Costner, as they played the parents, just mentoring him as a young Clark Kent. I thought it was fabulous. Zack Snyder is not really known for his dialogue in movies. He's more action-based. I thought the action was great. I thought it was justified. I know a lot of people complain about, he was supposed to be Superman and, the fight and all these people dying. But he wasn't Superman only for like 24 hours. It wasn't like he was flying around and he had it already. He didn't have it. He was still, in training wheels. And then he had Nemesis come to his Earth, and try to take it over. And he fought as hard as he could to save the human race. And I just thought that movie was just excellent. I love that fucking movie. I
love it so much, man.
I thought it was
trash it.
I thought it was a great movie.
So like I'm in the minority here, which is amazing to me. But yeah, I didn't like that movie at all. Like I don't necessarily have to trash it, but like just like one of the things even was that they were like, oh yeah, it's not going to be a remake of Superman 2, and then they remade Superman 2 but made it like a CGI clusterfuck. But like yeah, I don't know. I don't want to shit on your guys' stuff too much. Like I mean, you guys feel that way. I didn't. I certainly didn't think anything about it was Oscar worthy. Like The dialogue was very clunky to me. And I guess I'll leave it there because we don't need to like fight on this.
Granted, though,
each their own.
Yeah. Granted, though, Caleb, you had Turtles 2 on your list.
Yeah, I know. That's because it's that was like it's ingrained in my heart. Pick.
I'm playing with you, man. I'm playing.
But yeah, you've got a point.
All right, Caleb, what you got for number 5?
Number 5 is a movie that's probably not on anybody else's list, but it's an adaptation of a graphic novel that meant a lot to me when I was younger in high school and stuff. And it's Ghost World. Yeah, it's young Thor Birch and Scarlett Johansson, and they meet this like creepy weirdo who's actually just like a normal nice guy who's lonely, played by Steve Buscemi. And it's not an action-packed thing. It's not a superhero thing. It's just a nice, relatable to a high school aged me story that encompasses, punk rock music and like the feeling of being lost in rebellion and all of this. It's all there in Ghost World. It's my number 5. It's one of the best, I feel.
All right, nice choice. I've never personally seen it, but the way you described it sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's really good, actually.
Yeah, that's the good thing about comic book movies, because there's so many genres. When people think about comics, they only think superhero, but comics could be about everyday life, just normal, simplistic, and Ghost World captured that. You can't go wrong with Steve Buscemi in a movie because he always brings it.
Yep. All right, so on to mine.
Following the goths around.
Yes, Hunter.
Yes, number 5.
All right, my number 5 might be a hold because I do have Captain America: Civil War. Really?
Nope.
Wow. All right. It kind of caught me off guard a bit. I have Civil War as my number 5. I just think like everything that the MCU was working for came with Civil War. Did the movies have problems? Yeah, it did. It had a lot of problems to me. Some, not to others, but just all the fun of that airport scene, the action, Spider-Man, probably, Tom Holland giving us probably the best Spider-Man in my opinion. Just the development of characters between Tony and Steve and all the characters. I love this movie, man. It's what the MCU. It seems like the MCU was built towards this moment to have all of them come together.
I thought it was a fun film. I watched it. I own it on DVD. I've watched it multiple times on Netflix. It's just, it was great. You see Spider-Man introduced. You seen Black Panther introduced. You have Scarlet Witch in there. You do have other characters show up. But it was a good movie. It just didn't make my list. Caleb?
Yeah, I didn't. This is one that'll get me like a lot of heat for. But like I didn't like this movie. I liked about 15 minutes of it, and that was the airport scene. But like I didn't like Baron Zemo. He wasn't even how he was supposed to be. He was like a rogue thing, like individual person from Sokovia instead of being like the heir apparent to the Hydra.
Yep.
And things like that really bothered me. The fact that Black Panther was basically just manipulated the entire movie. So I didn't like that he was, for the most part, like a CGI ragdoll that like could just run anywhere he wanted.
I mean,
but like, coming down to that totally negative on it, that airport scene is absolutely incredible. I do wish that maybe they hadn't focused so much onto it before, because it would have been meant so much more if it had just been like, he's there, because he's a huge part of Civil War. Like they could have utilized his character as Spider-Man, not knowing anything about his backstory, way better, I feel like.
Yeah, like on Baron Zemo, I do agree, but that seems to be a problem with most of the MCU movies, is that they put more development into their heroes than they do their villains. So,
yep.
I also had a problem with the hero development in Civil War 2, though, because, like, I mean, they were on the wrong sides from everything else that we've seen. Like, Tony Stark was on the wrong side of that fight. It should have been on the side of rebellion, or on the side of the government, I feel like.
Well, I kind of understand why they had Iron Man or Tony Stark go on that side, because
I get it because of the whole PTSD thing, but
no, it's more of like he had to fight the Chitauri invasion, plus he created Ultron, which almost destroyed the Earth. So he's more like, I don't want mistakes. I don't want heroes to make mistakes that I made myself. So I kind of see why he did it, but I do agree that it was a little jarring.
All right, we're going to agree to disagree. Maybe next time we're on, we'll do a whole discussion on Captain America
Civil War. Yes, indeed.
All right, for my number 5, I have the one movie that that everybody was waiting for when Marvel started with Iron Man 1. I have The Avengers, number 1. At number 5. You got it higher?
Oh, hold.
Mm-hmm.
A lot higher?
About two or three spots.
Oh, okay. All right, we'll hold it then. All right.
All right. So we're definitely going to disagree about these top 4. So my number 4 is the original Christopher Reeve Superman. I still feel like it's the best Superman movie that's been made. It's great. Everything about it is like, you believe a man can fly. Again, this might be a little bit of my like nostalgia from growing up watching these movies and stuff, but like if you can suspend your disbelief for a second and like not be like, oh, it doesn't look real, it's an incredible movie. Like, action shots, but also there's like, they developed Krypton in that movie, and like it's the first shot of an alien world that you're seeing, and Marlon Brando in it is like ridiculous and awesome, calling it Krypton. And like, you have the setup for the second movie in there. Like, it's almost like both of those movies are the first movie to me. But the first one I'd go with, for like, you get Gene Hackman, is like great Lex Luthor. I don't know. Yeah, it's my number 4.
See, the only thing that, while I love that movie, the only reason it didn't make my list is because, one, like, I went back and watched it, I think, like last year.
Mm-hmm.
It is really kind of dated when you go back and watch it, like now. And of course, it's older, so of course it will. But the ending is also where it kind of.
Star Wars is dated if you go back and watch the original version. Like, just because it doesn't look real doesn't mean that it's not, that it's like too dated.
No. I'm talking about some of the dialogue choices they had for the movie. Some of the writing sounds a little weird to me. But another thing, the ending was just almost like a cop-out. It's like, oh, I'm gonna you know, go around the Earth, rotate it, and then go back and.
Come on, it makes perfect sense. What are you talking about? Spin the world backwards. That's how you do time travel.
It was a cop out, in my opinion, but it was the loophole.
Yeah, that movie didn't make my list, but since I love that movie. When I think of Superman, I think of Christopher Reeves. You know, that movie. When I first watched that movie on VHS, I was in love with that movie. You know. You have Gene Hackman playing Lex Luthor. Man. You have Gene Hackman playing Lex Luthor, which was pretty much the portrayal of the comics at that time. In the comics, Lex Luthor was pretty much like a bumbling kind of scientific mad guy before 1985 when they retconned him in the comics.
And made him into a
Lois Lane. Yeah, the writing is for the time. The writing made sense. Now when you watch it, some of the dialogue is cheesy because of the. Because we don't talk like that anymore. But
yeah,
that's the first comic book movie to ever hit the theaters, and it was Superman, and it was just amazing to witness it. It didn't make my list, but I do hold that movie in a special place in my heart. So, Caleb, that's a good choice.
Mm-hmm. All right. My number 4 is a recent one. It actually came out this year, and I think you had it on your list, Wonder Woman.
Wow, number 4 for you.
Yeah.
Showing your age.
Huh?
No, go ahead.
Showing your age.
Showing my age, yep. I walked into that movie expecting an okay movie that, I loved Man of Steel. Suicide Squad was okay for me. It was a fun action movie, and, BVS was okay with some writing issues and some of the, Warner Brothers stuff. I walked out absolutely loving this movie, from the chemistry between Diana and Steve Trevor, and the writing and the action, the everything about it. Like, I have a review on it if you guys want to go watch it, but it's, to me, one of the best comic movies that I've seen. But granted, I am young, so I just love the development of the mascara and just the world they created. I love Gal Gadot as Diana and Wonder Woman. I love the comedy, harking back to the original Superman, where, some of the fish out of water storyline and trying to fit in. I love the humor. I just love everything about this movie. Haven, you want to talk about it a little bit, or is it higher up on your list?
No, I had it at number 7 on my list.
Yeah.
I do love it, hands down. I think it's the best female-led comic book movie ever made.
You weren't a fan of Elektra?
Oh, hell no.
Elektra
Catwoman? Oh, jeez, hell no.
Not quite hard to top it.
Watching that movie in the theater for the first time, there was a scene in that movie that almost brought a tear to my eye. Patty Jenkins did amazing work, which it still blows my mind how Hollywood works. She hasn't directed a movie in 14 years. She directed Monster. 14 years later, she comes back and directs Wonder Woman. I don't know how you live like that, but it was right. I just thought that I like I like the cast. I like the story. It was, the origin was good. It paralleled Captain America's first one a little bit, the wartime. I know a lot of people are going to see resemblance in that, but I thought this one brought it to another level with the fighting and the CGI. And I loved her outfit. When you first seen her wearing that outfit in the war, it didn't look out of place. It didn't sexualize her at all. She looked like a warrior. And the movie, from beginning to end, I thought it was a great movie for the DCU.
The only thing that made it from not being higher on my list is the villain. I feel like they could have done enough with the villain, but they focused all their all their attention on developing Wonder Woman, which was the right thing to do.
Caleb, you have anything?
He's never seen
it. I still haven't seen it, but yeah, that's cool. I'm not obviously I'm not running out to go see it, but I hear good things, and yeah, I will agree. Like they made her look perfect. Everything I've seen looks perfect for like who she's actually supposed to be. I was a little bit worried, especially with Batman versus Superman, that she'd end up being like the eye candy that she's always like kind of portrayed as in cartoons and stuff. But like it seems like they did a really good job from what I know. That they like that. I mean, if you're like a comics reader, she's like almost as fast as the Flash, and she's able like almost as strong as Superman. She is like probably the overall best fighter out of everyone in the Justice League. So it's nice that they
established in the comics.
Yeah. So it's nice that they're actually like showing that. Like a big shout out to it.
So Caleb, what is your number 4?
I did 4 with Superman.
Okay. You did number 4. Hunter went with Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
So now it's my number 4. I have number 4. I have Captain America: Winter Soldier.
Nice.
I guess nobody else has it on their list. So I'll talk a little bit.
Hunter had it lower. Yeah.
No, you had Civil War.
No, I had Civil War 5 and Winter Soldier 7.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
Which is nuts to me that you put Civil War over Winter Soldier.
Well, I'm gonna tell you why I picked Winter Soldier as my in my top 10. To be honest, this is just my opinion. YouTube guys, if you want to give me hate, you could do it in the comment section below. But I thought the first Captain America movie was trash.
I agree with you.
Hold on.
I actually quite liked it.
So I thought the first Captain America was trash. Civil War, Winter Soldier, different directors. The plot was different than superhero movies. This was the first ever, spy espionage genre that I've ever seen work for a superhero film. We had Captain America. We had the introduction of Falcon. We had Black Widow still in the mix. And then we had we had Crossbones as a minor villain in the movie. And, of course, we had Bucky Barnes looking amazing in that movie. And the movie and the pace, to me, was amazing. What any other title, I would have believed it. It could have been Captain America, it could have been Jason Bourne, Winter Soldier. I would have believed it. It could have been James Bond, Winter Soldier, and it would have fit in the real world. I thought that movie was one of the best, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was super good. I love that movie. I don't know why I didn't put it higher up on my list, but there were so many that kind of edged it out. It's great. It, like you said, it's a spy thriller that just happens in the same way that I feel like The Dark Knight was a heist movie that would just happen to have Batman and the Joker in it. This was a spy movie that happened to have like all of the Marvel characters, and it worked amazingly. It's like that weird kismet or whatever that like that. Yeah, it just works. I don't know why. Like you wouldn't think like, oh yeah, Captain America, let's make a spy movie out of it. It worked super well, and then Robert Redford was like, I'd put him up there with Loki as like the best villains in the MCU. Like,
yep, I agree with that statement. I wish they would bring him back.
You didn't see it coming. It was so well written and crafted. Like it was super well done.
Yeah, I would also add in Vulture as one of the best MCU villains from Spider-Man Homecoming.
That's for another list, huh?
Yeah, save that for the next episode.
Top 5 Marvel.
All right, Kevin.
My number 3. All right, my number 3 is the original Tim Burton Batman, 89's Batman.
I have that at my number 8.
Woo! I got that a little higher on my list. You want to hold, or you want to talk about that now?
Yeah, we can hold.
All right, let's hold on that.
All right, so on to me.
Yep.
Number 3, I have the original Avengers, which Mr. Haven had on his list.
That's number 5.
Yep. The first Avengers was a milestone because it was the first time that we saw all our favorite heroes come together, as a team, as a group. I've been wanting to see the Avengers come together on the screen. We saw it. All the actors worked well together. Some plot point issues, but overall, I loved this movie. I just feel like it was so much fun. It was, I saw it in the theaters, so on the big screen surrounded by a lot of, Marvel fans, comic fans. It was just such a great experience for me. Haven?
Yeah, I love that movie because it looks like a comic book. It feels like a comic book. They were building for years. We got to see everybody, take part in the movie, contribute. Minor characters like Black Widow that was introduced in Iron Man 2. We had Hawkeye introduced in Thor come in, and play roles. And then we had Loki really showing his chops from the first Thor movie to come in and be the villain. And I just thought it was a great movie. The ending, it was a little simple the way they defeated the Chikara, but hey, it's what can you do in a movie? But I thought it was fun. The writing, 2017. If I watch it again, it might be a little elementary-ish. But it's not going to win awards for the best philosophical written movie of all time. I thought it was a fun action comic book movie. And that's what you go to the theaters for, sit down, eat the popcorn, enjoy the action.
See, the writing actually does hold up today. I mean, it was written by Joss Whedon, who's a very good writer of
screenwriter.
Yeah, screenwriter of doing great dialogue between characters and making it seem like it's a real conversation that you or me would have with somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought the only reason I didn't put that movie on my list is that I feel like it does, as a standalone movie, it doesn't hold as much water. It's like a comic book event, where it's like you had to have read all the other titles for everything to make sense. And in the same way, not entirely, but there was so much homework to do to see Avengers if you were behind.
I feel like you could go in there not even having watched the previous MCU movie and then still know what's going on as a standalone story.
I agree on that.
Okay.
All right, so
but yeah, I thought it was a really good movie. I just, I didn't feel like it doesn't stay alone. It's more of a series.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's the only complaint I have with it. I really like that movie.
All right, Haven, you're number 3.
My number 3 is one of my favorite comic book movie adaptations of all time, and that is V for Vendetta.
Oh yeah.
This movie is amazing as just a futuristic, no, not even futuristic. This movie touches on so many issues that are going on in the world today. And this thing was written, this was I believe a French comic that was adapted into you know, into American audiences. I love the history of it. I love the costume design. Natalie Portman, she knocks it out the park, you know, as Ellie.
My favorite one of her performances, other than Leon.
And you know, just the history of it. You know, this is like I was saying with Winter Soldier being, you know, a spy espionage. This one was a political thriller movie with action in it, and then you always have to remember the 5th of November.
5th of November. The gunpowder, treason, and plot.
Anybody else?
I love that movie. It's it's like 1984 meets like a weird superhero movie. It's awesome. You know, it's like 1984 meets The Matrix. And I love that. Hugo Weaving, where like he says every single word in the dictionary that has a V in it, was like probably one of my favorite things I've seen in a movie at the time in a long, like, it was probably my favorite thing ever. And then yeah, Natalie Portman, and you had John Hurt, I believe, from the movie 1984, was actually the Supreme Commander, which was a nice little Easter egg that I love about that. 1812 Overture, when like Parliament's being blown up, is just like, oh, it's so good. But yeah, that's what I got on it. So, Hunter?
To be honest, I have seen like bits and pieces of this movie over, like, you know, on HBO, whatever. I would tune into it. Haven't sat down and watched the entire thing, but I keep hearing great things about it.
Oh, it's super good, dude. You got to sit down and watch it.
Yeah. Like that and Watchmen.
Just marathon all these like graphic novel movies that you haven't seen.
A lot of homework for me to do, but I'm excited to do it.
Yes. All right, so that goes to my number 2 then?
Yes.
Yep.
So so this is another one that was in that era of like, let's just make all of the graphic novels, and I feel like this one did it best, where it was a comic book or a graphic novel on screen, and it's Sin City, guys. It's got to be Sin City. Like, I mean, it was the color palette and the black and whites, but like her hair was blonde. Oh, just the aesthetic of this movie, and then the acting on it. Like, you got Clive Owen, you got Bruce Willis, who, when he still gave a shit. You got Rosario Dawson. Like, everybody's in this freaking movie. I said Clive Owen already. Whatever. Yeah, Josh freaking Hartnett. Yeah.
Powers Booth.
Oh, Powers Booth. Yeah. Elijah Wood. Elijah Wood is like one of the most terrifying villains this day. Kevin is like ridiculous. Oh, he's so scary. And then like Mickey Rourke. Like, I mean, he was straight out of the comic book. It was the comic book put to film. It's one of the best. It's number 2.
Yeah, I mean, I liked Sin City. I don't think it was one of my favorites, but I just love how. Go ahead.
And then, like, I mean, you've got like all these great directors and writers on it too. Like Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez worked on this. You know, like it was, and Frank Miller. Like, oh, it was so good. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
That's fine. Yeah, like, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed how it looked like a graphic novel. Just the tone and the color palette they used. The writing was, you know, really, really solid. Again, you mentioned the cast, like, star-studded cast.
Yeah, it's insane.
Haven?
I love Sin City. I watched that movie 8 times in the theaters when it came out, because that movie, besides another movie on my list, I didn't put that on my list because we only had the top 10,
right?
You know, and I wanted to add something a little more easygoing. Sin City is a true adaptation from the comics. And I live in Florida. We have a drive-in here. I went to the drive-in and seen that shit 8 times. That's how much I love this movie. It looks like the comic. It feels like a comic. The world that they built was amazing. Josh Hartnett actually did that scene for free in the beginning just to get Frank Miller to approve that movie. That's how much dedication they had for this movie. I mean, people don't praise it enough because it's not the traditional superhero age we live in with Marvel, you know, with Marvel movies. But Sin City is one of the top comic book movies of all time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Good pick, Gallup.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, Hunter, what's your number 2?
All right. I'm going to start by saying this. Number 1 and number 2 could, exchange back and forth. I put it in this order. Number 2 is, again, a recent one. That's Logan. I
figured that'd be there.
I love Logan because going back to your Winter Soldier, mini review, Logan doesn't feel like a comic book movie. It doesn't feel like a superhero movie. It feels like an old school Western. The characters are so well written, and the world that was made was just post-apocalyptic, badass action, badass writing. The characters all worked well together. X-23, I don't know her name right now. I got to look up her name in a minute. She is a great actress for this role. Hugh Jackman given a Oscar-level performance, and same with Patrick Stewart as Charles Xavier. Oscar caliber.
There wasn't a poor performance in that movie. It was like from start to finish, it was a thrill ride. It was awesome, and yeah, it was the Wolverine that I personally have been waiting for 13 movies. Like something ridiculous like that. Like it finally happened. It was like, yes, this is what I wanted. It's a little bit lower on my list. I had it at 6. Just so new. It hasn't stood the test of time like others have. And then partially because it was I don't know how to put it. Me a little because I've read the Old Man Logan comic books, but they couldn't have done that. So I get it. Those are the 2 reasons it's lower on my list. I love that movie. X-23 was ridiculous. She's so good. Those are my thoughts. Haven, any thoughts on Logan?
I thought it was very disappointing. I don't think any Wolverine movie was good or great that he is. And as a comic book lover, I've always been disappointed with all his movies. I was promised something, and it just didn't deliver for me. Patrick Stewart performance was good. X-23 was good. I thought the villains were dog shit. I wanted something better. It wasn't post-apocalyptic when everybody in the casino looked like today. I couldn't tell what year this was supposed to take place in because it didn't look like the future. It just and then to have him fight himself was a very letdown for me. I expected a lot better for his last movie. I know a lot of people praise it. But for me, it was a letdown. Sorry.
Oh man, that's all right. I mean, that's your opinion, but I just think as an overall movie, Logan is something that you can take, the comic book aspect out of it and still be a great movie. Oh, I looked up the name of the actress who played X-23, Daphne King.
Daphne King, yeah.
Amazing. Like,
she's like, she better be an action star. Like, she's coming up. Like,
yeah.
oh, she was perfect for that
I
role
hope.
too.
I hope somehow Cable brings her to the present.
That's what I hope that happens.
That'd be so awesome.
All right, Haven, you're number 2.
It's on me?
Yep.
Wait, Logan was your number 2?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. My number 2 is one movie you had on your list, I believe, Caleb. I told you to hold will be Watchmen.
Yes.
That is my number 2 comic book movie of all time. I put that movie, when I talk about comic book movies straight from the comics, adapted to the big screen, we have Watchmen, Sin City, V for Vendetta, and
300
and Road to Premonition.
Perdition, yeah.
Those are the ones that I believe came from the comics to the big screen. I love Watchmen. I say this all the time. It just came out in the wrong year. That movie needed to come out 5 or 6 years after it was released. It would have made a lot more money, and people would have enjoyed it more. The problem with Watchmen was people were still thinking comic book movies as Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. They thought they were going to go see a lighthearted family film when this movie was basically from the comics. Some stuff was missing, but I thought it was a beautiful experience. I love the intro. I love everything about this.
Was awesome.
I could watch this movie every day if I had to. If I had to pick one comic book movie I had to watch one day for the rest of my life, it would be Watchmen, because I could see this all the time. I just love the characters. I love the look of it. I love the feel of it. I love the actors being not well known, to come in and play those roles, and how can you go wrong with a big blue penis in your face?
Right?
Big blue dongs.
And that movie, it made a lot of people pretty big. There's was it Patrick Wilson? It was Night Owl. He blew up from that movie. Got his own TV show, and he's been all over the place. Jeffrey Dean Morgan as the comedian. He was Batman's dad recently. So there's tons of people in this movie that are really good. I love this movie also. It's, again, like Haven said, it's the comic book on screen for you. The reason it was lower down than Sin City is just personal preference. I like these other ones more, but it's there's some of the things they omitted from the comic bothered me a little, but it's not. They weren't. It makes sense why they didn't put him in. And again, Jackie Earle Haley, like you said, was the Rorschach. He's so good in it. So yeah, I love that movie. It easily could have been my number 1 or 2. It's just that today I happened to put it at 8.
All right,
it's probably one of the ones that I've watched the most. All right, so we're going number 1 with me then?
Yep.
All right, my number 1 is it's pretty easy. It's a recent one. Whereas all these other movies that I've been comic accurate, the actual movies, this one is my number 1's Deadpool, and it's because they got the spirit of the comics right. It's not the exact comic stories or anything, but the idea of Deadpool as he is, I feel like perfectly.
I'm so angry I didn't have Deadpool on my list. or as an honorable mention. He would have been a honorable mention.
Yeah, like I mean, Ryan Reynolds, I feel like he was born to play that role, and it was just perfect. Like everything about that character was perfect. I think it was the best Colossus we've ever seen.
That's true.
Ajax was kind of a weak character. I feel like they were other people that could have been better. But as the story of Deadpool and them just like correcting it from what they did in that god awful X-Men Origin movie, and I'm like running out of words to say about it, but it was really good. It's probably my favorite right now.
All right, nice choice. It's on to me.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
I mean, unless you guys have thoughts on it. Haven looks like he's not happy about that pick.
No, I really enjoyed that comic book movie. You were accurate when you said, it didn't really follow any comic storyline, because that's the hard thing to do when it comes to comics. You can't really pick out a Deadpool storyline and be like, okay, this is the best one. We're going to do this in the movie, because his issues generally tend to
unless they do Deadpool kills.
Yes.
Story arcs. But I thought the movie was fun. It captured it was a good movie, and I agree with you 100%. That's the best Colossus we ever had. And I look forward to Deadpool number 2. It was a good movie, but I compare it in the vein with Ant-Man and Doctor Strange. They were all great comic book movies that came out soon, so that's why they weren't on my list at the moment.
Yeah,
I guess I could see that.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I love Deadpool. I actually, whenever Collider was doing their watch-alongs, they had one on Deadpool, and I watched it again and watched it with them. Like,
nice.
I love this movie just from Ryan Reynolds' portrayal of the character and the fact that he's been wanting to get this movie made for about 10 years at the time. He's wanted to get that movie made, and it finally happened. I couldn't have asked for a better Deadpool movie. All right, so it's
all right, Hunter.
My number one.
Yep.
X-Men Origins Wolverine. No. No.
I would have to murder you.
No. My number one is The Dark Knight. I know it's cliche, and I know it's, being overpraised, but this is one of the best comic movies I've ever seen. Just giving us the best Joker in Heath Ledger, the way he portrayed the character, the way that the story was, told, the dialogue was well written, the world that they created for Gotham City was dark and just exactly what Gotham City needed to be. I could talk about this movie for days. I love The Dark Knight, so that's why it's my number one.
Okay.
Any thoughts?
You got any thoughts on that?
Go ahead, Caleb. What are your thoughts on The Dark Knight?
I thought it was a good movie. It didn't ever feel, like I said before, it's a heist movie that just happens to have. I don't think he's the best Joker ever, but that's again personal preference.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good Joker. But he's not he's not playing the Joker from the comics. He's playing.
There is no Joker from the comics.
Jesus, let him talk, Hunter.
he's playing Robert De Niro in Heat, is what he's doing. Like he's. Yeah, I mean it's a good movie. It's a really good movie. I have a hard time with calling it like one of the best comic book movies because it goes so far from everything that the comic books are.
All right, let me put my little 2 cents in, and this is just my opinion. I agree with Caleb. I enjoyed the movie for what it was. I thought it was I thought it was a realistic take on what a billionaire could do if he was trying to go out and stop a criminal. It kind of reminded me of like a James it reminded me of like a James Bond, you know, like in real life portrayal of the Batman. I personally
like
hated
if Jason
Christian Bale's
Bourne was
Batman
a
in all three of those
superhero.
movies. I didn't like the costumes. I didn't like the Batmobile. I liked Heath Ledger as the Joker. It was sad that he passed away before he could maybe do something else with it. So he was a good Joker. He was a great Joker, but he's not my number one. I like the real world feel of it. I do own that movie on Blu-ray, but I didn't care for that trilogy at all. Just my honest opinion. I never did.
Yeah, I mean, of course that is all, you know, opinion based. But I mean, I love you guys are, you know, saying it's good, but I mean, you know, opinions.
I mean, yeah, it's the difference between it being, you know, like a good comic book movie or being a good movie. I think it's a good movie. I don't think it's a good comic book movie.
Yeah, I can kind of see where you're coming from, but with movies like Logan and movies like you know the rest of them, comic book movies have really changed their definition, in my opinion. You know, I mean, Marvel really started that with Winter Soldier when they made it more of a, you know, a spy thriller than a more of a comic book movie. But I mean, that's just what I'm thinking of, you know.
Yeah, sure, okay.
All right, Haven.
All right, my number one movie for all time. I actually cheated. I have a tie. No, I should have put this other movie on the list. My honorable mention would be the first original Spider-Man, Sam Raimi Spider-Man. I love that movie. But for my number one pick, I picked the original Batman. Tim Burton, Michael Keaton, Batman is my number one pick of all comic book movies of all time.
That was my number 8.
Yeah, you had it really low on your list. You know, it wasn't CGI at all. You know, it wasn't special effects heavy. I love that movie. I seen that movie in the theaters, and it blew me away. Jack Nicholson's performance blew me away. He doesn't look like any Joker in the comics, but his portrayal made you believe that he was serious, deranged, and dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
I love
Absolutely.
I love the blonde that played Vicky Vale in the movie. She was smoking hot. And yes, Michael Keaton, like, goddamn, that dude played a perfect Bruce Wayne and a crazy Batman. Your thoughts, gentlemen?
Absolutely. I'll jump in there. Yeah, Batman. Tim Burton's Batman is one of, like, it's the reason I got into Batman. You know, it's so good. It's a rich story going on there, and the world that Tim Burton builds is it's breathtaking, you know, with these like miniatures that they're like flying over and everything. And the one thing that Jack Nicholson's Joker captured that I don't think anybody's ever done as well, except for maybe Mark Hamill, is be funny. Like, the Joker's a funny person. Like, he's like, the world's a joke to him, and you get that from Jack Nicholson in such a beautiful way. Then, you know, you got the soundtrack, you got Prince.
Oh yeah,
just killing it. Yeah, it's a great movie. It was my number 3, and I love that movie. That is my Batman. And then I went back after that. Back to Adam West, but Michael Keaton is and always will be my Batman.
Hunter, your thoughts?
Yeah, I had this at number 8. I know, kind of low, but I absolutely love this. The original Batman movie. Fun fact: my dad actually knows every single Joker line in the movie. He's memorized them somehow.
Wow.
So like,
awesome.
I can't watch it with him because like I'll watch it and here comes the Joker, and my dad's just copying the words for it. But yeah,
that's like my family in The Princess Bride, dude. Like, yeah, word in that movie.
Yeah, like this was at a time where the comic book movie genre was really starting to get its legs. Like it became more of a serious genre of movies.
Well, I mean, I'd credit with like it's the reason that like comic book movies started being made so like aggressively, because it did so well. And that's give him Superman next, like which I still like. Have you guys seen that documentary that Schnepp made?
I have.
No, I haven't caught it yet.
The Death of Superman Lives is fantastic. Like, oh, I want to see. I wish I could have seen that movie because Tim Burton is like a.
I'm gonna tell you like
genius.
this. That Superman with Christopher Reeves was a nice little comic book movie, but it wasn't until Batman that really kicked the comic book movies into high gear. And
absolutely, yeah.
Everybody remembers Joker's sidekick, Bob. What other comic book movie do you remember the guy's sidekick?
Yeah, right.
I had that toy. That's how I had
the Bob toy.
The Bob toy.
I had the original Bob toy once that movie came out.
Nice.
It was just amazing for its time. So that's why it was my number 1. So, in case you guys missed it, we're gonna go with Caleb first, and he's gonna run down his top 10.
All right, yeah. All right. So my top 10 started out with, I know you all hate me, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: Secret of the Ooze. Then my number 9 was Punisher Warzone. Watchmen. 7, I had Dread. 6, Logan. 5 was Ghost World. Love it. 4 was the original Superman, Christopher Reeve Superman. Number 3 was Batman, Tim Burton's '89 Batman. Number 2 was Sin City, and number 1 I had Deadpool.
All right, Hunter.
All right, guys. My number 10, I had Kick-Ass. Number 9, I had The Crow. Number 8, 1989's Batman. Number 7, Captain America: Winter Soldier. Number 6, Man of Steel. Number 5, Civil War. 4, Wonder Woman. 3, Avengers. 2, Logan. And 1, The Dark Knight. Haven?
All right. As my number 10, I had the first Thor. Number 9 was Dread with Carl Urban. Number 8 was X-Men Days of Future Past. Number 7, I had Wonder Woman. Number 6, I had Man of Steel. Number 5 was The Avengers. Number 4, Captain America: Winter Soldier. Number 3, V for Vendetta. Number 2, Watchmen. And number 1 was the classic 1989 Batman.
Yes, indeed. I love
Bob,
it, man.
You're my number 1 guy.
You're one guy.
That was fun, you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was fun.
I like that that a lot of the stuff we had overlapped, but that we still had like a huge variety of stuff that we picked in our list.
Yeah.
Like I think I matched Haven like 4 or 5 of them, but they were all in different spots, and then same with Hunter.
Yep. There was so many good comic book movies that was hard to knock it down to the top 10.
Right, yeah. Like,
That's
I mean,
the truth.
Like, seriously, look at this. I have, like, written down. Just, like, I was like, how do I pick? But yeah, so I had to. So I definitely had like First Avenger and Winter Soldier in there. Another honorable mention I should have thrown in was Under the Red Hood. I thought that was a great animated
Oh yeah.
Well, there's a lot of animes that were good. One honorable mention for me would have been Batman Returns with the Penguin and Catwoman. I really enjoyed that with Danny DeVito.
See,
and the sexy and talented, I forget her name.
Michelle
Pfeiffer.
Yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer. Woo!
I'm gonna forget Michelle Pfeiffer. Oh.
One of my.
I also had Batman the movie on my honorable mentions list, just because like some days you can't get rid of a bomb.
See, for my mention, I had Batman Begins. I feel like that was a great, like coming off of Batman and Robin, which pretty much killed the Batman franchise at that point.
That's true.
Batman Begins came and gave us such a great origin of both Bruce Wayne and the Batman that I can keep going back and watching that movie.
I disagree. I threw that DVD in the trash and burnt it, but that's just me.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it was like super boring.
Yeah, I hated that fucking movie. Anyway, this was a great first episode of the Naughty List.
Woo!
Everybody give a shout out and thanks for Caleb, Hunter, and Haven. And you'll see us again on Film Nerd TV. Hit the like button, subscribe, and see us for episode 2.
Sometime in the future. Yeah. Bye.
Later, guys. Thank you guys for joining us, and we will see you on the flip side. Later.
Cut it down.